Good evening, Buckeye Piper. So, picked up a new acquisition, a couple new acquisitions today. The first one is the smaller one, much less expensive. Check this bad boy out, and hopefully you could see it. The sun's pretty bright, but it's a Rattray. It's an author-shaped, sandblasted. I can't remember if it's shape 4 or 19, or they do some different stuff. The stem's kind of a reddish brown. It's pretty neat, but this is bog oak or morta. It's my only morta pipe. But check out that sandblasting. So I've learned something about sandblasting. I was always under the impression that sandblasting and rustication were the same. They are not. And again, it depends on who you talk to. But the sources I've listened to, the reading I've done, they're not the same. Country Squire recently just did a podcast on that, the difference between sandblasting and rustication. So really, to me, if you look at the rustication or sandblasting is done to enhance the grain of the pipe, to show the grooves and ridges. And they're both rough finishes, sandblasting and rustication, but this is done to accentuate the grain in the pipe and the, like I said, the ridges and the flow and how the grain flows. Only certain pipes or only certain pieces of briar or morta are really worthy of sandblasting. I didn't know that. And it gets pretty high end for sandblasted pieces, really high end. And it's Carter Hall. Don't need to necessarily break it in with the smoker, so it's a pre-carbed bowl by all accounts, but I thought I'd do it anyway. I hadn't had Carter Hall in a minute. So back to sandblasting versus rustication. Rustication is done to hide flaws and imperfections in the wood. So whether it's a substance they apply or whether they just mark up the wood or however it's done, there's many ways. That's what rustication is and the difference. So sandblasting, both rough finishes. Sandblasting done to accentuate the wood and the grain. Rustication done to hide flaws in the wood and the grain. So pretty interesting. So I told you there were two acquisitions today. This one was, well, I also picked up a tub of Hearth and Home sweet cask. I'm going to take that on vacation in a few weeks and meet my my stepdad and my brother and hopefully my son. We're going to camp for a week. They have a cabin and we'll have the RV. So both those guys are cigar smokers. My stepdad has some of my old pipes back from when I started pipe smoking in my 20s and it didn't stick. But I'm going to set them both up with a cob, and I'm going to set them both up with a briar. I've got some briars I can set them up with, and some cleaners, and some check tools, things like that. So I'll get them set up. So I just picked up that sweet cask as kind of a community. I'll take my big tub of Carter Hall too. Of course, I'll take some other stuff. I should have mentioned also, this is a 9mm filter. Love that. Man, this is super light. If it wasn't Rattrays, I would question. If I touched this in a store, I would question that this is not plastic. It just feels weird. It doesn't feel wood, but that's that bog oak or the morta. It's just different. It's the first time I've messed with it. So again, if it wasn't Rattrays, I probably would have said, nah, this isn't what I expected. But quite frankly, I didn't know what to expect. High quality H2O. I've never had a mortar pipe before. So, super light. But on to the second acquisition. So, it is finally final. We finally closed on our house today. So, we're about 3 to 4 weeks delayed. Let me tell you, what a nerve-wracking time this was. And reason being, we were, man, sounds terrible to say. So I'll just throw the whole situation out. You guys and gals will understand. And it's from a good heart, so it wasn't a bad thing. So when we initially seen this house back in June, the lady's sister was there during the showing, which was cool. Super sweet lady. We probably talked to her for, an hour or two while we were just sitting around learning the history of the house. The husband had passed. The wife had dementia and had to go to a home. And so she was power of attorney for her sister, and they needed to sell the house because she wasn't going back home. She'd reached that state. So we're cruising through the closing process, and we get this call saying, we need to move the closing up as quick as possible. Do you guys care? And Mandy and I, of course, said no the whole time. This was just the smoothest transaction. Both the seller and the buyer, we just, I don't want to say loved each other, but we were really looking out. Everybody was trying to take care of everybody. It was just really awesome experience. But anyhow, yeah, we can move up the closing. That's not a problem. Turns out the sister who owned the house had just been diagnosed with cancer, and hospice was being called in to kind of keep her comfortable. This was the end of July. So they wanted to sell the house before the sister passed, and it went into probate because there were really no heirs, no children involved. There were, heirs from other avenues, but no children. This husband and wife took immaculate care of this home. They were the original owners. It's a 1969 home, and it was built to entertain people and have parties and things of that nature. And they loved their house, and they took great care of it. But we said, sure, we can move it up. So we started pushing the mortgage company, move it up to July. Let's get going. Well, then we hit the snag with the water. And the water was an interesting thing because it kept coming back positive for coliform bacteria. Now, it wasn't positive for fecal coliform, and it wasn't positive for E. coli ever, but it was positive for coliform, which in doing our research can be from many sources, but could be from pollens and soil and things of that nature that happen actually in North Carolina quite frequently. So that started that process. And they were taking the water sample from the wellhead, which I never really understood because I always said, take it from the inside. I don't care. I'm not drinking the water from the wellhead. So I want to test it after it runs through the pipes, but they were pulling it from the wellhead, whatever reason. So it came back positive. They shocked it, chlorinated it, did some things for a week, came back positive. Had somebody come in, raise the wellhead, do a few other things, came back positive. Had somebody come in and put in new piping to the house from the well, add a UV purifier, so all the water now runs through this UV filter, purifies it, kills anything in it. Essentially better than boiling water as it passes through this UV tube. Anyhow, first, after they got all that done, pulled off a sample off the wellhead and positive. Okay, we know the wellhead is positive. Let's move past. The whole time, keep in mind the seller is still in hospice. So if the house, if she passes, heaven forbid, because the sister was just the sweetest lady. So I can only imagine what the seller, I mean, sisters, they would have been. And she was lucid and coherent enough to be really excited that we were buying the house. So any minute there could have been a call to say Miss Peggy had passed, and that's when things would have went sticky. So the sister was power of attorney and could sell the house and was able to sell the house. So here we go. You ready? The executor of Miss Peggy's will would have been her brother, who had passed away December of last year. So power of attorney, as everybody knows, going back to that, sister has power of attorney. If Miss Peggy passes, power of attorney expires immediately upon the person's death. Power of attorney is null and void. Dogs are out here with me carrying on. Hey, knock it off. Settle down. Sorry about that. Annie. Anyhow, I'm going to put him in the house. Hang on. Hold on. For whatever reason, there's this super nice older brown dog that they just do not care for. Bo doesn't care for him. But yeah, back to the story. Sorry, getting off track. So, Miss Peggy, very sick, seller. Sister's the power of attorney, can sell the house, doing all that for her. They couldn't bring in to get the executorship changed because Miss Peggy also, remember I said, had some dementia. The lawyer didn't think she was lucid enough to be able to sign the paperwork renaming her sister as executor of her estate as opposed to her brother. So, had she passed, thank goodness she didn't, but had she passed, the court would have had to name the executor, which would have taken 2 to 3 more weeks. Obviously, they're probably going to name the sister the executor. She's the last of that bloodline. Then they have to agree to sell the house. There are some heirs on the husband's side that are brothers and sisters of his. So if she would have passed, that would have went to them. Do they agree to sell the house anymore? Do they want to split it? Do they want to do something else with it? Have it reappraised? Whatever they wanted to do. On top of that, you'd also have to list the house for up to 4 weeks, I think, maybe longer, to where anybody that had an existing claim against the estate could file a claim against the estate, which would include the house. So we would have been tied up in court 2 or 3 more months, maybe longer. And Mrs. Buck and I had decided, like, if we're going to get, we like it, we want it, and we really like it, we really want it, but, at that point, we were just trusting the Lord to say, okay, if this house is meant to be, everything's going to work out now. We're going to close today. If it's not meant to be, then it's not meant to be. We're going to go past our drop dead date for our loan and everything, and our lock-in interest rate, and we're just going to move on at that point. So we trusted, and everything worked out. So that was the stress. We were really, the whole time, Miss Julia, the sister, sweetest lady ever, is just stressed to the max. So we're doing everything we can to help the family stay unstressed. They even offered us, after a couple of the failed water tests, do you want to back out? We'll just let you back out, get your earnest money back. No, we're staying. We're with you. Again, not only did we like the house, we liked the family. So she was super appreciative that we stuck by her side, and we did. But that was the dilemma. and the, as callous as it may sound, kind of the race to, from the family side, be able to sell the house and get that done today and get the deed done before anything, unfortunately, you know, when you call in hospice, it's a matter of time at that point, right? Especially when they say it's comfort only. It's a matter of time. So we wish nothing but the best for Mrs. Peggy as she continues to go battle her illnesses, multiple illnesses, and you know, we'll take good care of the house and honor their memory. They gifted us a grandfather clock that's staying in the house. That just crazy. It's just crazy. Is the most interesting house buying experience I've ever been through. But we stuck with it, fought the good fight, did the right thing, trusted in the Lord. Everything worked out. Everything worked out the way it was supposed to work out. Let's put it that way. So that was the story of the acquisition of the house. So now the fun part, packing up the apartment, moving. We're in no rush. Our lease is good until the end of December. If we break early, it's going to be a month and a half. Just have to give them 30 days notice. And my company will reimburse me the month and a half. Which they didn't have to do. Is super nice of them. But we'll do that. We'll probably shoot for mid-October. Give us some time. We're going to move most of it ourselves. The heavy stuff we'll probably contract out. The last bits of the bed, the dressers, the gun safe, things of that nature that are just super heavy. I could do it if I had a helper or two. Mrs. Buckeye said under no circumstances. So we're going to hire that out. But we'll take everything else. So it should be very minimal that we have the movers move and try to get out of here. We've got a vacation planned for mid-September, like I was telling you. So we'll try to get out of here probably before the end of September, but we'll give us a couple weeks in October for buffer. We may take all of October. We'll see how it goes. I haven't put in our notice with the apartment yet. All it is 30-day written that I have to give them, so we'll do that. And I'm in no rush. It's just, if we have to pay a mortgage and a rent for a month or two, just to keep our sanity and make sure everything's smooth, then that's what we'll do. That's what we'll do. So we're gonna do it right. We'll probably move it in piecemeal. Probably get a U-Haul, do a couple big runs, and then probably a lot of stuff just shuttle it every night because the house is only 6-7 miles from here. So it'll be easy to pack up a box or two every night, throw it in the truck the next day, shuttle it over. We'll stay in the apartment until the end, really because the bed and everything will be here, and it's just more convenient to do that. So that'll give us time to paint the bedrooms and change a few things we want to change right away. But good stuff. So rat trace pipe, author shape. I love that grain, man. Just check that out. And the red kind of, they call it a red stem. To me, it's more of a, I don't know, reddish brown. I don't know if you could see it real well on the light. It's kind of cool. They had a green and a purple. Smokes very well. 9mm filter, acquisition 1, and then acquisition 2 was slightly a little bit different, but it worked out. If you hung with me for this rant of 20 minutes, man, I appreciate you, and hope y'all are doing well. Take care of yourself, no matter where you are. Pay it forward. It always comes back to you. And I'm wishing you all the blessings. We'll catch you soon. Have a great night, everybody. Take care.